What's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. I have a special video for you because many of you still, as we get extremely close to the release of FC26, many of you still have questions, and a big reason why you have those questions is because of how bad this game is. Now, right now, I'm literally just completing the SP for the day in squad battles, and I'm doing that because there are carryover rewards, an actual good pack, 84 plus times 5. You get it early October as well as the other carryover packs. And for the last several weeks, that's all I've been doing is just completing anything that helps me get carryover packs. The reason why I haven't been playing FC25 despite for the first time ever packing Footy's Ronaldo, packing Hullet, the 99 Yamal, 99 Mbappe, Ronaldinho 99 I got from completing the Gritty to Glory Cup. I mean, these players are incredible, but yet I'm just finishing these easy squad battles SP challenges. And why is that? Because FC25 is so bad. So many players out there who are playing this are going, why would I ever buy FC26? I can barely deal with playing with the best players in the game right now. So how would it make sense to buy the new game? And that totally is logical, right? The reason why, though, is because you have to understand what exactly went down. Basically, I won't explain it all because some of it's broken down in this reaction video we're about to do. But the money on EA Sports' side was affected by the game being so bad. And this has been a long time coming. The past several years, EA Sports has been literally just ignoring the player base and delivering us trash. But every single year, their money was fine, clearly. And that's why it took so long for them to do anything, because everyone would complain, talk about what needed to change. But then players would still buy the game, players would still buy packs, and we would suffer through nonsense. And FC25 literally was just the last straw. It got so bad that players finally stopped spending money on packs. Players finally decided we are not going to even play the game anymore. So the numbers took a hit, which, if you know anything about sponsors, when the numbers take a hit, so does the money sponsors are willing to pay EA Sports, to be part of the franchise. When the franchise is crushing it, then of course their sponsors are willing to put in money. So EA Sports, the big suits upstairs, they say we can't have this happen again. We need to change this. We need to get everyone back on board. So they go downstairs to the actual devs, the actual game makers, and say, do what you have to do. Well, what do they do then? They know they have to start listening to us, because we're the ones who give EA Sports the power. We're the ones who give them the money to be as rich and successful as they are. If we stop buying the game, if we stop playing, then they're nothing. And so every single thing that EA Sports did after that, all the fixes, all the improvements that you're about to see we're going to go over, came from the player base. And it's not like we just started speaking up. It's just EA Sports just started listening, because the one thing that changed is we actually left the game. We actually stopped buying store packs. Even content creators finally said enough's enough, because for a long time they were just still making their content, ignoring a lot of the issues, because it was bad for business if they'd say, hey, this game that I cover that I want you to watch and play while you watch me play, don't play it, it's terrible. Of course they weren't going to say that, until finally it was like everyone had enough, even the content creators, even the most, what I would call POS content creators that clearly are just worried about clicks and views, even they were doing their part. So with that being said, for those of you who don't know the details, who don't know exactly what's going to make 26 better than this nonsense that you're seeing right now, to where the gameplay is actually fun. So next year when we're at this point, we're not just playing squad battles to get the carryover rewards. We're actually still enjoying the game. We're still playing rivals and champs all the way to the last day, because that's how it should be. The gameplay should be fun. It shouldn't feel like a chore just to get rewards. But because FC26 looks so good, because I couldn't put down the beta, I'm completing these rewards because I know that I'm going to be part of that player base that helps those players understand, right, why the game is now good. And so we can start spreading the word and keep it that way. And what do I mean by that? As the game got worse and worse and EA Sports wasn't listening to us, right? The rats started taking over. But even the skilled players or the players who were enjoying football started to be part of the problem because they stopped worrying about playing football. They saw the shortcuts, they saw the nonsense that some of these rats were doing, and then they proceeded to play like that. And then it spread like a cancer, right? If we, the skilled players, the players who want a good football game, who play this because we love football, who know that we spend a lot of hours in this just like we do in real football and other things, so we're going to put our time in to get better, and we don't want to lose to some idiot that's essentially cheating or ruining the game. If we all stick together, continue speaking up, continue to play the game the right way, well then that will spread, and we will no longer have rats that are able to essentially infiltrate a trash game because of a lazy developer and make it 10 times worse, right? So I'm glad I became a content creator when I did. I'm glad that I was able to speak up at the time that I did, right? I mean, from the start, I literally left the game. I was playing UFL, I was playing eFootball. I wasn't one of those players that was BSing my community just for clicks and views, even though I was newer. I was deadly honest about this game and the other football games. Who, you know, this video isn't about that, but they totally choked. They had a chance to step up, and they didn't. And so now we have EA Sports that was able to essentially redeem themselves because their competitors were just as bad, if not worse, than them. And this video is going to show you exactly what EA Sports did to make FC26 so much better than this nonsense that you were just seeing. Shout out to R Green. I had no idea who he was before this video. Make sure you give him a subscribe because he does a great job here. I haven't really seen any of his other content, but judging by the work he does here, he knows what he's talking about, and bravo to him. Let's get into this now.
Playing FIFA has the same experience as being in a toxic relationship. You're in the honeymoon phase for the first few weeks, but after a couple rough patches, you start testing the quality of your drywall. I'm honestly not sure if I spent more money on replacing controllers or packs since I picked up FIFA in 2010. The FIFA experience really took a nosedive in FC25. The gameplay was promising and people were actually having a decent amount of fun. But man, did this game morph into a sluggish and unbearable chore to play. The player numbers dropped considerably, the stock plunged, and EA started scrambling to stop the bleeding. Like Thanos getting all the Infinity Stones, EA unintentionally assembled every sub-community in FIFA to absolutely shred them over FC25. And all the issues get boiled down to one simple message: gameplay sucks. But boys, there seems to be a shift in the cosmos. Guys, I just received the most shocking news in FIFA's history. Apparently, EA started listening. Were we muted this entire time? But it wasn't the community screams that got EA's attention. It was the sound of their money counter going silent. The FC26 trailers and the beta experience is getting the community to see a glimmer of light at the end of the tunnel. And the extensive pitch notes isn't just a list of changes. It's EA's apology letter to the fed-up player base. But can we as a community fully trust EA after all their controversies and lies throughout the years? Are they actually going to deliver on their boldest promises? And most importantly, has FC26 brought enough value to be deserving of your cash? In this video, we will have a comprehensive breakdown of all the most important updates coming to FC26, so you can be as informed as possible before deciding on making the purchase. We will go over the revamps to game speed, attacking AI, dribbling, goalkeepers, defense, shooting, passing, and physicality. The marketing team definitely cooked up every FIFA player's dream with all the footage and pitch notes, but we will look between the lines to see how truly good or bad these updates are. And after each major update, I'll be giving it a rating out of 10. At the end of the video, we will accumulate all the ratings and reach a final verdict. But before we get started, please leave a like and subscribe to keep the channel growing. I'm genuinely so grateful.
Definitely leave that like and subscribe, guys. This is some great work, and I love sharing this content too, man, because I had to spend a long time sifting through kind of what I was talking about earlier, the nonsense, clickbaity content creators that didn't really give a damn, that literally were just trying to get views. And when I was newer to the game, right, on the competitive side at least, after going through my playing career, then early in my coaching career, it was harder for me to tell. Now I can tell within seconds if someone's, just speaking a bunch of nonsense. But I'll give you an example. Team Hullet, they're a pro team. There's a lot of great players. But those guys would share tactics after tactics after tactics, and everyone was OP and the best, and you should use it, when in reality, just about every single thing they were sharing, they didn't really use themselves. It was all clickbait nonsense. Now, Team Hullet folded. Team Liquid bought them out. But those same players who are excellent players, and if you hear them talk, they sound like class acts. They sound like people that wouldn't be, what I'm describing. But if you go back and look, a bunch of the Team Hullet videos is a bunch of nonsense that if players truly followed them and like listen to their tactics and tips and stuff, they just get destroyed. But they can't just say, oh, here's the meta and give you one thing, because that's all done in one video. Everything was about video after video, more views, more money. So my point is, whenever I find content creators or good stuff that can help people, I want to share it so that you guys know, sometimes hearing things from different perspectives helps out too. A lot of this stuff you're going to hear I've already spoke about, but different people explain a topic in their own way. And so it's just different, I guess, coming from a fresh or a different point of view. So let's get into the actual improvements.
Field solution ever attempted by a gaming franchise.
We already know about the two different gameplays. Competitive is the one that we're going to be using in Ultimate Team. Whereas Authentic's more of, they try to make it realistic and more fitting for like career modes and stuff. And I can tell you from the beta, if you watch, Authentic is going to be good for, I'll give you an example. You need just a point. You're on the road, right? You have a couple players injured, so you're going to sit and park the bus and try to get a result against, I don't know, maybe you're a newly promoted team in the Prem and you're playing Man City, and so you're parking the bus, you're trying to just hold them off, and like the more realistic gameplay makes it to where it's going to be, that kind of thing will be exciting. Whereas if you use competitive gameplay, your scores are going to be higher. You're not going to have those kind of intense moments. It's not going to be as fun if you do have to park the bus because your team's just totally outmatched, or maybe you're in a cup game where you're playing a lower team and you have to try to break down their defense, and like the way that it feels, and you'll see what I'm talking about when you play it, it fits that type of realistic challenges and realistic obstacles you have to face game in and game out. On top of all the additions off the pitch, they do a great job with it. And then competitive, that's what he'll be talking about, and you'll see, man. Let's just put it this way. I'm extremely happy, but that's just me. You guys want to know what the details are that makes me so happy and excited about the next game? That's what we're getting into. There's one, the gameplay speed. We'll start with
much
that.
Earlier compared to other FIFAs. To be honest, I haven't touched Ultimate Team in the last 3 months. And right now, everyone has a 99 rated team. And you can be damn sure I'm not going to play, because I'll be getting cooked more than Zweback in the Maldini Cup. Another concern I had was how apparent this gameplay speed boost is going to be for regular gold cards. Luckily for us, the people playtesting the beta are reporting the good news that every single card seems to be much faster than in FC25. Good job, EA. You get a gold star. Just please, for the love of all that's holy, please don't patch this into oblivion. Like Sandy hibernating in the winter, it's best to leave some things alone. Making players faster and increasing the gameplay speed is a major dub for EA. So because of that, I'll give the gameplay speed improvements an 8 out of 10. Another major flaw from FC25 was the lack of attacking options and forward runs from your teammates. They would just stand there like cucumbers while you're drowning in the enemy's press. Move, idiot, move. EA have addressed this complaint by updating the attacking AI and improving your team's movement while you have the ball. People that have played the FC26 beta are reporting good news again because they're saying that teammates are actually making forward runs and taking advantage of space that the defense has left behind. And the Lord has graced us in FC26 with another update, making our players be caught offside much less compared to FC25. Player roles have also been adjusted to be much less restrictive compared to previous years. Right now, if you set your left mid or right mid to the winger player role, they will hug the sideline for the full 90 minutes and you won't see them budging until you force them manually. Are you supposed to be Messi or a stonehead from the Easter Island? Move, idiot, move. Move. Not every match is going to have the same exact situation, so it's essential for your teammates to have at least 5 IQ to attack open space. This could change with FC26, making it a much more fluid and dynamic match every time you start the game. Yeah, I'm not too sure how apparent this improvement to attacking AI is going to be in game until we get our hands on it, so for now I'll give it a 7 out of 10. And
Fortunately, I can speak on this here, okay? So, I'll give you guys an example as I go into my next SBC match, or sorry, objectives match, that is. It's just squad battles, but it will still give you a good idea. So, when you're playing FC25, right, one of the worst things, if you're playing PvP, and versus AI, but it really sticks out in PvP, is that the AI marking is absolutely horrendous. That's why the 4213, once Anders Vergang made it popular, it never left as the meta, because all you have to do is rush in, win the ball, and if you don't clean, you can win tacklebacks, and then spam through balls like this. If you notice, as Mbappe's making that run, there is no AI coverage. It is the same thing in PvP. What he is saying is correct on both offense and defense, right? All your players do, even as you see here, is run in straight lines. But it works out in the 4-2-1-3 offensively because the players are naturally in a good place, as you can see there with Ronaldo's run, just to be able to receive the ball and go in on breakaways. It was brainless nonsense. And then, even if you were a skilled defender and you were doing your job with your one defender, it didn't matter because your opponent could spray a through ball to anybody from your striker to the left or right wing or the cam, and you couldn't even switch to a defender and catch up because your AI coverage was so bad, right? If you had better AI coverage, I'm not saying the AI should win the ball because that's something they do in this game that they won't be able to do in 26, but they at least have to have correct marking, so when you do take over and you switch, which that's where the skill gap comes, switching to the right defender, manipulating their positioning, getting them in the right place, and then they cover the the attackers as they would normally, as any defender, a midfielder, whatever would, and then you have to take over like I just did there to win the ball. Now, with the better AI movement on defense comes, on the opposite side, better movement in the attack. So players are going to be marked, which means both the defense and the offense, the actual user, is going to have to do their job, right? Manipulating the runs on the offense, finding quick passing options so you can get ahead of your opponent, who, if their skill will be manually switching, trying to front players, anticipate where you're going, get in passing lanes. So even with the better movement doesn't mean you can just count on AI and then spam through balls. Again, it's just instead of being in straight lines like FC25, they'll be making good runs and you find them. No, because now the AI defense will be following them. It's up to you to take that movement, right? And then you add in your skill to it. You see what I'm saying? And that's how it should be. Because the way FC25 played, it was so unrealistic. You just ran in a straight line forward, bum rushed the ball, right? Either won it cleanly or you would get a tackle back, and then boom, spam through balls. And you just do it over and over and over, and eventually you're going to get through. It's nonsense. So that is 100% improved. I'll give it a 9 out of 10. The reason I don't give it a 10 out of 10 is because, and I've said this in another video, so I won't go too far into it, but they need to get to the point where Hullet doesn't play playmaker or shadow striker or whatever, because throughout a game he might play several of those. What it should be is Hullet plays like Hullet. R9 plays like R9. They each have a player identity, and if you see how clubs is in player career and stuff, and even manager career, you are seeing that they're starting to go towards that more individual identity, but they still have player roles, which those restrict you. Same with some of the what do you call it? The play styles, right? If a player doesn't have a certain play style, that shouldn't render that player useless. And in FC25 especially, if your player didn't have particular play styles, you didn't want to have nothing to do with them because it was that much of an advantage to have low driven plus and finesse plus in this. How about Hullet? If he's really good at Trivella's, well then that triggers, you trigger Trivella, and that's going to be, you're going to have more room for error, right? He's going to be better there. Similar to how they do with shooting normally, right? They take your shooting with precision shooting and your skill in aiming, right? Your skill in choosing, should it be low, should it be high, should it be finesse, should it be Trivella, should it be power shot? And then they mix it with your player stats, and that determines if you score or not, right? The better the shooter is, the more room for error. It should be the same thing, right? With Hullet, with R9, with all of them, as opposed to if that player has a play style plus, you want him and then this other player doesn't. No, maybe that other player has a great finesse shot. Maybe he was known for finesse shot. Maybe he was known for just hitting bombs from 40 yards out, but then he doesn't shoot the ball anywhere inside that. Let's just make that up. Well, then every time he shoots the ball from 40 yards, should it be a goal? No. But he's going to have an increased likelihood when you add your skill, your precision shooting, you adding the correct power, that player is going to have an increased likelihood for scoring goals from far out. Whereas another player from 40 yards, they don't have a prayer because they never really did it. That's how you incorporate these players and what they did in real life. I'll give eFootball credit. A lot of the movements in the way their legendary players, their icons, whatever, play are true to life. And the players actually are valuable just like they were in real life, as opposed to in FC, like players like Xavi. He was never very useful, right? He never really was meta. Even Pirlo a lot of times wasn't meta. Kluivert, a player, how about, who's a player that's Rijkaard? Rijkaard is like a dominant player in eFootball. In FC, he's not meta at all. You can go down the list. Park Ji-sung even. It's insane that he's not more used. Like, who are some of the heroes that are gone? Oh, Michael Owen, another icon. I know I said heroes, but Michael Owen, it drives me crazy. Roberto Baggio. The fact, and he's even like, you would think explaining his body type and like the way he plays, he would actually be more useful in FC, but he's never close to what he should be compared to like how brilliant he was. We will see how much it changes this year because there is definitely improved AI and stuff, but that's something that they need to continue improving, and all of it ties together. The better they hit the mark on icons, heroes, and even just your regular players, the better they're getting at, creating actual player identities and being spot on with them. And then eventually they can get to the point where they don't restrict us at all with play styles or player roles. It will just be your general team play style, right? Whether you want to be more possession based, more counter based, stuff like that, then your players will kind of play within the team how you want your team to play, but using their player identity, the way a Hullet would play possession, the way a Hullet would play in a counter, 4-1-2-1-2 narrow, or whatever the situation is. So I give it a 9 out of 10 until they get better at that. But absolutely, the defensive marking is improved. No longer you can just spam through balls and just be open, and the movement on both attacking and defense is improved to the point where your skill on manually switching your defenders and seeing what's going on and anticipating where your opponent's going to play the ball, as well as creating awesome passing sequences, all that is vastly improved because of the better movement. Let's get back in now.
The biggest update But FC26
Let's get into
is
dribbling.
bringing a complete revamp to dribbling. The most blaring detail is the number of touches the player does. Every touch in FC25 damn near equals to 3 touches in FC26. This increased number of touches allows for a much more fluid and precise dribbling that can register more directional inputs in real time. Again, this is another step forward into making FC26 closer to that prime FIFA era. And I'm talking about FIFA 15 to 18. The retuning of dribbling will also make skill moves raise the ceiling even further, because the quickest animations that give you directional change and speed will dominate the meta. And I'm praying to God that EA doesn't concoct a skill move more broken than the McDonald's ice cream machines. Alongside dribbling, movement off the ball has improved as well. Agility has been considerably sped up with quick animations and faster acceleration when changing directions. Look at these movements. Oh my man, finally, I don't have to buy my players from the fridge aisle of my local Best Buy. Snappy, quick, smooth. We love to see it. EA has also reverted back to 3 acceleration types from the 7?
All right, so you heard how he explained it there, some of the improvements, and I also want to talk about the physical dribbling, which is going to be awesome for players who are bigger, and typically they are extremely, I guess, stuck in the mud sometimes, and even though the smaller players were, but extremely, can't believe the word is on the tip of my tongue, it's a very obvious word, clunky, my goodness. So for years, the bigger players, no matter how good they are in real life, have been clunky, and therefore they've been passed up, just like the slower players. And I'll tell you this, even though we're talking about dribbling, same with the speed. They've made it more in FC26 useful for players to have skills such as passing, which was for a long time. Like FC25, it was so linear. Mbappe could have 0 passing. Greenwood could have 0 passing and still play a pass like this. All you have to do is go, boom, straight down the line. Boom, straight down the line. And now, more than ever, threading the needle because you are a skilled passer, being able to play that long diagonal ball. Not realistically though, not in that spammy way that's you've seen in the past. The skilled passers absolutely make a difference, and therefore you don't just have to have speedy players that can run in a straight line and outrun their opponents. You don't just have to have small players that can cut in and out and spam skill moves to get shots and score. Now those bigger players are going to have a more physical presence even on offense. And let's say you have a player like Cruz, who was always just the highest rated fodder, right? You never could use him because he was so slow. Those players who can receive the ball and ping it and run the game with their passing and their smart positioning, they're going to be able to do so now, right? One of the first things we learn when we're younger players is the ball moves faster than the man. Coach always teaches you when you're young, pass the ball over dribbling. If you have an open pass, that's what you want to do. Well, that holds true now in FC2, right? And it's been a long time coming, but where dribbling comes into that is that dribbling was so lethargic. Again, even the smaller players kind of felt stuck in the mud. And then, of course, bigger players who've notoriously always felt clunky, they felt extra clunky. Everything felt delayed. And then you add in the bad gameplay. So all this ties in. They actually added animations and then removed or cut out the fat, as they said in another video, the animations that were making that kind of lumbering feeling, that slow-mo feeling. And the animations that they added were like what you heard just now, more touches on the ball, which also allows you more control, right? If the player's taking bigger touches away from them, then when you're cutting left, right, you have to wait for the player to get back to the ball. Well, when they're taking these quick little touches constantly, that makes them constantly able to change direction as well. And you'll notice it in game, which also means that if there is a game where you don't have as good a connection, which absolutely destroyed the game this year, for one, it helps not have that kind of delayed, unresponsive gameplay. But for two, when you do have kind of a game where you and your opponent don't have the best connection, it's not going to feel unplayable, right? Because of that improved quickness in the dribbling, because of the improved decision making, the improved reactions, it increases the responsiveness. I don't have all the technical explanations for this stuff, but if you played the beta, you know what I'm talking about. And even if you didn't, search right now FC beta gameplay. Make sure you don't watch the authentic. It's got to be like a beta leak from Rivals game, and you will see what I'm talking about. Much quicker dribbling, much quicker jockeying as well, quicker reactions, quicker side-to-side movement, and now with the added physical dribbling, which he didn't talk about, but I'm just adding into the dribbling part, the bigger players are also going to be extremely powerful, which is what you want. You don't want to just have to go get your Messis and Neymars and small. If you like Haaland, you like Lewandowski, you want them to have their skills too that make them useful. And without a doubt, I can tell you that the more physical dribbling, that enforcer playstyle, with which if you have like enforcer playstyle plus you have the highest improvements on that physical dribbling, it's going to be powerful to the point where they even had to go in and nerf it just to make sure that those bigger players weren't even better, even more powerful than those smaller shifty players, which is a good thing, right? We want those bigger players to be equals to the smaller players, so it's more realistic.
7 acceleration types? I have to confess, guys, I never learned what the differences of all of them were, besides the main 3 being explosive, controlled, and lengthy. All I know is now let's dive into the third.
We won't spend too much time on goalkeepers, but I do want you guys to realize for years goalkeepers were irrelevant. And if they weren't irrelevant, then they would just drive you crazy because they were either A, broken, right, or B, they couldn't save anything. They would make stupid decisions. They would watch the ball go by. This year with the 25-yard, 30-yard Travellas and some finesse shots, it was like a glitch. They would literally watch the ball just float by him into the corner, wouldn't even go for it. And it's a joke when that happens, and it really ruins what otherwise would have been a competitive game, right? How many times have you played a close game this year? You're playing shutdown defense only for your opponent to get one of those 25-yard Travellas, and then they'll just go for that over and over. How many of you have played an opponent that no matter what, they'll pull up on what could have been a breakaway just to take a glitch shot from that angle, and even if your keeper would have saved it based on the way they literally stopped and telegraphed their shot, you might even move your keeper and still nothing. It's complete nonsense. And the improvements they made on keepers, as well as the improvement they made on pairing, which we'll hear about here shortly, it makes goalies more important than ever. When you're choosing what goalie you want in play styles such as far reach or rushing out, to close down an attack or potentially stop a breakaway. All these things matter more than ever now. And we also, on top of that, don't have to worry about goalies just pairing the ball right into attackers' path. I mean, it's the best of both worlds with fixes. Both your keeper is going to be improved, and also when you're shooting against your opponent's keeper, it's going to be more realistic, challenging, but fair.
Most important update coming to FC26, and that goes to the goalkeepers. Rebound goals and absolutely brain-dead animations from goalkeepers makes me want to redecorate my room with a sledgehammer. Now that we ruptured EA's eardrum about horrible animations and stupid rebound goals, EA discovered an ultra-complicated way to solve this extremely difficult issue. After years of testing, experimenting, analyzing, and retesting, EA finally figured out the revolutionary solution. So the ball goes out. Did I read that right? Yeah, the ball just goes out more now. That's it. Ball go out. Ball go out technology. They've implemented ball go out technology now that we've never had in the past. Or could have figured out. We had to use ChatGPT 6 to actually come up with this. But all jokes aside, this actually could be a good solution. Although it took so many years, it could reduce rebound goals and overall frustration with that. So
it 100% does. It works out. And it doesn't look as unrealistic as you might think, which is why they say they waited so long, because they didn't want it to be unrealistic. But it does work out. That's all I'll say. You'll see for yourselves. But I actually give that a 10 out of 10. Because there were players, anything rats can use to take shortcuts and that they take out is great. And players were getting to the point where they knew they weren't going to score. They would take 30, 40-yard shots from stupid angles, knowing that the keeper would typically just put the rebound right into their, other player's path for an easy tap in. All these things gave opponents ways to score goals that they didn't earn without even coming close to breaking down your defense.
Goalkeeper positioning has also been touched up, and please just watch the FC25 example. What is that? What the fuck are you doing, idiot?
It's even worse than that a lot of times.
Where are you going? Where are you going? EA definitely knows what they put us through all these years, looking at the example they gave. Reduced rebound goals and smarter goalkeeper animations are definitely great improvements to the gameplay, although long overdue. So I'll give it an 8 out of 10. Now moving on to defense, EA seems to have registered what the major issue was. Give me the ball when I make a successful tackle or interception. I don't care about DDA. I don't care about whatever the score is. I don't care if I'm up 2-0. Doesn't matter. I don't care if it's 50-0. When I make a successful tackle, give me the ball. There were too many bounce backs, tackle backs, and rebound backs. Backstreets back? But I thought this was addressed in previous FIFAs. Was it not? I've heard this yap before. I guess when DDA kicks in full gear, that shit flies out the window. I don't care how much code you put in, that shit doesn't matter to DDA. That doesn't matter. And if you truly think DDA is not in the game, you haven't played Ultimate Team long enough. I can smell if I'm gonna win the game or not from the first 5 minutes. I swear to God, the people that know. Another very positive thing written in the pitch notes is that tackle spammers are going to be punished.
First of all,
with heavier animations.
Again, make sure you subscribe to R_green. Funny guy, knows his stuff, but we're not all going to agree with everything. I humbly disagree wholeheartedly, and I know actually some of you, I can't remember exactly who in my Discord. It might be Kami. But there's those that think that there is scripting in EAFC, and it's unreal to me because if you play eFootball, then you truly know what scripting is. I mean, it 1,000% exists over there, and they don't even deny it. EA Sports has long denied scripting, and I never have felt like there was scripting. Now, I felt that there was nerfing players. For instance, I did think when, I guess you call it a myth. They say it's a myth. I think it's, even if EA Sports denies it, I think it's 100% facts. But when you would play with a gold team, right? Even if your opponent had a 10 times better team than you, it didn't matter because they would be nerfed down to your level. So you would see players a lot of times use this, where instead of using the top players, they would be way behind the power curve, use a full gold team, and they were actually the hardest to play against. Now this stopped, I want to say 22 or 23, right? I noticed it a lot then, and sure enough, every time I would play these gold teams, they were extremely difficult. My players just felt like they weren't themselves. They weren't moving. They were stuck in the mud. The game felt terrible, but it wasn't in the sense of like, okay, you had bad connections, so the laggy gameplay's causing. No, it was literally like the players were just nerfed to the ground. Like instead of, let's say, 90 rated, they played 70 rated, right? Instead of 99s, like for instance, if I had this team, they would literally play as if they were a silver team, not even a gold team. They didn't even feel like it matched. It was ridiculous. And so you would have to limp through these games against these lower level teams. So I get we can't trust EA for a lot of reasons, but let's just look at that one alone. They say that it never existed where you could use a gold team and it would nerf the other team. I don't believe them. Now, again, I want to reiterate. The DDA, the scripting thing, I do not agree with. I do not agree that when you turn on a game, they know which players won or lost. I don't think so. I think the game has so many shortcomings. I think the inconsistent gameplay, I think those type of things make players think it's scripting, but I truly don't feel like there truly is scripting, right? That's not taking EA Sports' word for it. That's literally just years of playing. The closest that I've got to that is, like I said, when there's a way lower rated team, it used to be like the gold team glitch or whatever they would call it, the higher rated team would be nerfed, right? Now, maybe that still does exist and I just didn't notice it. but instead of being gold teams, it was just like maybe I faced lower rated teams. Like I have a team full of 99s. If I play a team full of 90s, maybe that would still happen. I don't know. I haven't seen it for years, and maybe I just didn't notice it because they're not using gold teams. But that's my take on it. I just wanted to make sure I said my piece on that. You can let me know what you think. Do you feel like there is scripting still? How about that gold team glitch or whatever you call it? Did you ever experience that yourself? Do you think that's real? Do you think they're both real, scripting and the gold team glitch? Just let me know in the comment section. I'm interested to hear your feedback on that.
Harsh consequence of mistiming tackles is very much close to realistic football, because if you could stick your foot out, you're probably going to be off balance. So there's no way you can just keep spamming these tackles. That doesn't make any sense. Thank you, EA, for fixing that. And to the most extreme part of that, the tackles from behind has been significantly reduced in effectiveness as well. So yeah, I've been the suspect of tackles from behind a little bit too much in FC25, but it was unbelievably effective. Anytime they were through on goal, I would just throw a Hail Mary tackle, just press circle. You'll be surprised how many times that tackle was successful. Even if I bring him down, it's probably going to be a yellow card with these referees in FC25, so you know what's a good gamble? On top of all of that, the people...
That was a complete joke. The yellow cards when you were clearly fouled in on a breakaway. And they did do the nerf of the initial tackle where you would just shoulder barge from however far away you were and the player would just close the distance and win the tackle. Thank goodness they got rid of that, unless like Anticipate and Anticipate Plus turned into a way to still close a lot of distance to make tackles. But it typically is with higher rated defensive players, and that's sort of like that's their room for error that they get for being better defensive players. I'll tell you, in FC26 it's way more realistic, but you still have that better room for error with tackles, right? Especially with shoulder barges. So let me explain. If you're doing a tackle, all right, so the opponent's got the ball. Now watch, I'm gonna press tackle. So I won that ball there because Scott's got 99 defense. But let's say I take Mbappe and do the same thing. Hullet's got great defense too. Not all these players almost do. But let's say I'm going to bring Mbappe back and do that same thing. You're going to see he's going to kind of lunge. I'll do it with Yamal. Hopefully he plays it short. Yeah, watch. See what I'm saying? I'm not automatically going to win it. Right? And same with shoulder barge. If I just press a shoulder barge, well, I'll give the ball away, with Ronaldo, unless I time it perfectly, which again, that creates a skill gap. Unless I time it perfectly, I'm going to miss it because Ronaldo's not a defensive player. Okay? But if I do it with my defensive player, watch this. See that? How it was perfectly timed by Beckenbauer? That's still going to be there. If I did that same thing with R9, I would have missed that totally because I was too far away. I'm going to try to come do it here. Right? So see how it's just not as clean. Okay? You have to be much closer. If I do a tackle, they're just going to kind of lunge. If you have a higher skilled player, again, it's more realistic, but still, if you have a higher skilled player, you have a little more room to work where the animation will help you win the tackle. But you can't just spam tackle or shoulder lunge anymore. You can't be 100 yards away and automatically win the ball, and you can't tackle from behind. Like why I talked about the shoulder charges, you could be from behind, press that shoulder charge button, and it would cover like 5 yards for you, and you would knock the player off the ball, right? And then even worse, after they nerfed that, it's almost like they made the referees dumb or something, because then you can literally commit tackles from behind. I've even seen slide tackles where it's clearly a red card, and it's either not a foul or you get a yellow card at most. It's ridiculous. But that is luckily fixed. It seems like when they nerfed that initial defending, they kind of had some errors, if you will.
People that have played the beta are also saying that defensive AI has been nerfed. So you can't just sit back with your CDMs and let the center backs control everything on defense. I'm talking to you. You know who you are. Check the link below. I have a great job opportunity for you. Trust me. Just click the link.
Yeah,
they have also addressed
losers.
the speed differentiation between attackers.
And by the way, what's nerfed is AI won't win the ball for you guys anymore. So any rat losers that would run around, like you said, with their CDM or just one defender trying to rush you into their AI to win the ball, nope. The attacker will run around them like cones. And with the quicker passing, if they're terrible at player switching, you'll chop them up. The AI does better marking, but if you suck at player switching, it's not going to matter because the AI is going to be right on the player, ready for you to take over and win the ball. And when you don't, the attacker is going to run right around that player now. That's how it always should have been, because defense is a skill. If you are a skilled defender, then you'll be able to switch to your defender, and you can anticipate. Then you can then switch to the defender and kind of move them into the right direction to cut off an angle. You can literally use skill, and it's you, not the AI. It's a beautiful thing, and it's so much better. If we're doing the ratings like he was, it's 1000% a 10 out of 10 when you look at defense on FC25. Now remember, at the beginning of the year, defense was even worse. It was all compacted AI nonsense. So even though it needed improvements, it's much better even in FC25 than it was at the beginning of the year. And then when you add in the changes for FC26, it's ridiculously good. Like, these type of changes, all of them, in the amount of, the level of change. It's not just tweaking something little. It's big changes. It's just unprecedented. But again, don't pat EA Sports on the back. They're only doing this because they lost money, and they're years past when they should have done these fixes.
And defenders for FC26. Now your 78 pace Van Dijk card is not going to keep up with Mbappe. This is like saying your sister's Volkswagen Bug is keeping up with a LaFerrari. It just shouldn't happen. Reduced tackle spams, tackles from behind, and the speed differentiation between attackers and defenders are great improvements again coming to FC26. However, because of the nerf to defending and such a major boost to attacking, I feel as though attacking is going to be overpowered in the first few weeks of FIFA until they start tweaking defense again. So because of this, I'll be giving it a 7 out of 10. Now jumping into the...
Hold on there. We got to correct that. Defense is also improved, right? And I don't think he realizes. So the jockeying, he talked about the AI marking is improved, or maybe he didn't, but he was talking about AI being nerfed, but it's only them tackling the ball that's nerfed away, right? That's it. Just them tackling the ball. Not that the marking has been buffed, if you will, or now it exists. I would say in FC25, literally AI marking almost didn't even exist. So it has been improved. So the sharper, tighter dribbling, quicker changes in directions, that's matched with the sharper jockeying and jockey plus, right? The smarter AI movement, better runs on attack has been matched with the improved AI marking on defense, right? Then the way players would get around actually having skill defense by parking the bus and then trying to run around with one player, usually a CDM or a CM, to try to chase you into their AI to make the tackle. That's gone because now they actually have to use the player and win the ball themselves, which means because the tackling has also been nerfed to the point where it's a skill, it's a timing thing, and it's also a choice, tackling or shoulder charge. Now you can choose, instead of advanced defending, right? I'll actually show you this right now. I had to go back into the videos, but I want to show you this here. Settings, exit here. If I go to settings right now, there is advanced defending, and then I forgot the other one. We'll see it in just a sec. So if I go to game settings, you see I have precision, time finishing off, because it's not going to be in the game next year. So no point in getting used to something we can't use. And I'll go over all these settings with you in a different video so you have the right things from the start. Advanced defending, then there's tactical. Now, a lot of people, including Neil Guides, I trust Neil Guides, I think he's a great content creator, knows the game. He's like, now more than ever, you can use tactical defending, right, where they'll choose. So it says advanced defending gives you the freedom to choose your tackle, whether O to attempt a stand tackle or X to attempt a shoulder charge or shoulder barge or shoulder challenges, it says, right? Tactical defending allows you to time your tackles and maintain your position. It will contextually choose, depending on a player's position, between a stand tackle and more physical tackle, right? So you literally just press O every time, and it will choose the best tackle. Sounds like it may be better, since you are able to use it. There's no restrictions to it in like Ultimate Team or whatever, but it's not better. And I'll tell you about why quick moves isn't better either, even though it sounds better. It's kind of related. Tactical defending is not better because there are times when you are going to want to actually use a shoulder charge. There's going to be other times when you don't want to use a shoulder charge. You want to use an actual tackle. And if you use tactical defending and they choose the wrong one, you're burnt, right? Especially if you do it with a player that's not as good defensively and you have the timing right to win, let's say, a shoulder challenge, and they choose to lunge their foot in there. Well, guess what? They choose the best tackle for that player in the moment or whatever, but that doesn't mean that they calculate how bad that player is at defense, the location you're at when you tackle. Maybe you're only close enough for a shoulder barge. I strongly suggest you use advanced defending. I've seen this, whether I'm explaining it right or not. If you use it, you'll see. I've seen this burn people. It's way better than when you have the choice. It's only 2 buttons, and you get used to them both and get used to which one you want to use in different situations. And of course, that's part of the skill too. Same thing with oh my goodness, I'm drawing a blank now. With shooting, they have precision, and then you can go low now, so that's good. That's even better for skilled shooting because people could start to use assisted shooting and spam green time finishing. So that was ridiculous. The quick moves, that's it. Just like with shooting, the quick moves, people think like, okay, well now players are just going to be able to go crazy and be like the skill spammers of the past. Which the skill spammers of the past, while it would be annoying and super unrealistic at times, the good thing about it was they had to actually have the skill and learn the commands, right? So if I go in here, I mean, look at the commands for some of these skills, guys. Look at this. Trying to do that in the heat of a game and memorizing all these, that's a skill in itself. So as annoying as it was, you got to give the skill guys credit. What I didn't like is their effectiveness. They were unrealistically effective. Like, even if a player would button mash sometimes, the animations would allow the player to kind of skate through. None of that exists. And when you use simplified skill moves, they choose the best move for that situation, but it's not like Vinny is going to all of a sudden do some crazy move that, the player would have never learned on his own. No, it'll be like a simple spin move or something, right? So it's better if you're a skiller, you're going to still want to use regular skill moves. You're not going to want to use simplify where you flick your right stick. But that's the beauty of it, is that it can be helpful, especially if you're brand new or you're just learning or that's not an area you're strong at, but it's not going to give that player some huge advantage. If you're a skilled player, it'll actually be a disadvantage to use these simplified settings. But yeah, so defending was absolutely buffed up just like offense. And I can tell you, again, you can go watch this yourself with the leaked footage. Because I'm not talking about my gameplay with the beta. I would get in trouble, of course. I'm talking about just what I witnessed, like you could witness on the leaked beta play from other players. I have to state that so I don't get in trouble. But anyways, the defense and the offense, the way it all was buffed and changed and worked out, it's perfect. The balance is excellent. It allows for each player to use skill to improve on both sides of the ball. I won't give it a 10 out of 10. I'll give it an 8.5 out of 10. Let's get back into it.
Defenders are great improvements again coming to FC26. However, because of the nerf to defending and such a
develops for all players.
In FC26,
that's huge. We won't rewind it, but you guys already know they've changed up playstyles, playstyle pluses. Trivella's no longer a standalone playstyle. It's now in the game changer playstyle plus, and then there is a inventive playstyle, which is like trick passes, stuff like that, where they like combined, I think it's Trickster and Trivella passes. So they're separated. And not only that, but Trivellas were also nerfed. So even if you have the playstyle plus, even though Trivellas can be used and can be, good, especially players playing on the opposite side, so they don't have to necessarily use their weak foot. But they're not going to be OP. You're not going to be seeing 25, 30-yard Trivellas that just float right into the corner like a tap-in.
The only way you can perform a Trivella is if the player has the Game Changer playstyle, which is a combination of Flare and Trivella playstyles from FC25. Gone are the days that a random gold card was ripping a 35-yard Trivella like Prime Quaresma.
Yeah, there you go, right there.
The mechanic was so broken that everybody was using it to be at a level playing.
So ratty, and the crazy thing is you would say this stuff to these players about how ratty, and they just laugh it off. Now we're going to get to laugh at those rats. Now I feel like FC26 is going to be time for revenge. Now, I know also, though, that every year these rats try to find something. They're like parasites. They just don't want to leave the game. They don't want to practice. They don't want to use skill. God knows why they waste their time, but they do. And they always find something. But EA Sports knows that they don't want to lose more money. And if they felt the rats were the majority of the players, they would have done what Konami did with eFootball and cater with the ratty stuff. I'll give you an example. eFootball over the top, through balls to where it's like kick and run now are so OP. Guess what Konami just released? A new like link up style, because link up plays their new thing, where one player and another player have a special little connection, and they added an over the top ball. They cater to the rats over there. EA Sports clearly knows skilled players make up the majority of FC, and that's why they leaned away from the ratty stuff and directly into fixing everything that skilled players want fixed. Therefore, if there's any nonsense, you better believe EA Sports will be on top of it because they need their money. And they know that it's going to take more than just a good release. It's going to take not putting out a patch that ruins the game. It's going to take not leaving any issues that come up lingering. So now more than ever, we're in a great spot as skilled players to get a great game and continue. It's like I said earlier. Now we as players have to make sure we're always speaking up because we actually have EA Sports' ear for once.
Field. And honestly, I'm very happy to see this feature gone because it's truly a crutch to the gameplay. For you to be competitive in the elite tiers of the game, you have to be good at Trivelas. They will definitely dangle promo cards with the playstyle over our heads in the coming weeks to entice our wallets to open up. And the way that the game was set up is people weren't controlling their center backs. They were just running around with CDMs. So you needed to have the Trivelas in your arsenal to gain some distance away from a player and just rip these in to get your goals. So you can't blame anyone for using it. But I'm glad to see it removed. And speaking of green time...
Nope, I can't let that go. You absolutely can. Just like you blame the players for shooting the Travellas, you blame the players for playing defense like rats. All of it spreads nonsense. Same with the tacklebacks, right? You'd have those players who are like, I'm just playing the game. So was I, so were many of us. But we didn't just kick the ball forward and run as fast as we can, hoping that we could get a tackle back. That's rat nonsense. It's not football. You have to literally choose to do that. Just like you have to choose to take a Travella, right? So you have to blame those players. Just like you have to choose not to skillfully defend. All these things are choices by players to waste their time not playing football but trying to win in a football simulator, right? Loser nonsense, but you need the development company to enforce not wanting the game to be that way by removing all the stuff that these losers could use. Even if two players who didn't play like rats could have a great game and it's great gameplay, if things are in the game that can be exploited, they're going to be exploited. There's just too many losers out there, and that's where the development company has to come in and make those changes like they did so far in FC26.
And shots. EA canned that as well. In its replacement, they've added back the low-driven shooting where you need to press shoot twice to trigger it. But instead of just one way to do low-drivens, FC26 will allow you to make finesse shots, power shots, headers, and volleys all low-driven. Except chip shots, if any doofuses were wondering if you could do a low-driven chip shot. And mark my words, low drivens are going to be unbelievably broken in this game. It's going to be one of the best ways to score. I'm putting my money on it. And looking at the goalkeepers, they're really going to have a tough time trying to cover those angles and get down fast enough to block the shot. It's really odd to have removed green time shots because it actually raised the skill ceiling of FIFA. And if you practice the mechanic, you should be doing better than people that are just using regular shots. They are turning their focus to precision shooting to be the main way to improve the skill ceiling of FIFA. So, boys, we got to hit the practice arena.
Been saying it forever, haven't I?
Precision shooting skills so we can stay competitive in this.
I've been saying it forever. All those players out there that have been using assisted shooting and time finishing, and a lot of them would get that little device where they could just tap with their finger. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can look it up. And they just spam the Travellas or spam whatever certain angle, and it was no skill, even though there was skilled shooting involved. And then in FC Pro events, whether it was a ladder, Pro Cups, whatever, we had to use precision shooting. And I knew they weren't just going to keep it like that, where it was just the top players. It's a skilled shooting, scoring goals. It's like the central focus, right? It's how you win games. Of course, they had to make it like where you use the most skilled way, which is precision shooting. They couldn't keep giving assisted so much, like players getting rewarded for using assisted, then green timed, right? It was almost like they were cheating. They did the hard part with the AI, and then they did the timing. I'm not saying that didn't take skill and effort to learn the green timed, but when the aim part was assisted, it's so much easier. Try doing it with precision. So now all these rats who were using that nonsense, trying to take all the skill away from shooting, they're going to be so far behind the 8 ball. It's taken me years to practice precision shooting. Then you have some players who would use manual in the other games that they played, and those players, for instance, guys like Phil, Boomfa, who came over from like UFL, eFootball, where they would use the lowest assistance on passing, or they tried manual shooting or whatnot. They got used to precision shooting no problem because they never were tainted by using the assisted in FC, which is a huge plus. So all those rats out there that were using all the nonsense spam shots, trying to take shortcuts, they're going to be hurting just like in many other aspects of the game. You're going to see them continue to go for those shots, and they're going to go right at the keeper, sail way wide. And while precision shooting takes skill, that's the beauty of it, right? Football is a skilled game. And how do you get better at any sport, much less football? You put the time in. You keep working at it. And that makes it that much more rewarding when you get better. If you're just a casual, well, guess what? Ultimate Team, for one, is in the mode for you, or you can play squad battles. Or go ahead and use your assisted shooting and miss a ton of chances that you otherwise would have scored if you just put the time in. You might struggle for a little while, right? Or just go into squad battles and practice it, but it's the way to go. And I knew it was coming, and it's finally here where you get rewarded for precision shooting. That's the theme. You're going to be rewarded for your skill more now than ever before in FIFA or FC.
This day and age of FIFA. Removing trivelas? Great. Removing green time shots? So shooting is going to be a mixed bag in my opinion. So I'll give it a 5 out of 10. EA has
Holy
also
crap.
improved
Disagree with that.
Too much work bogs you down.
I think that they improved shooting big time, just because as cool as time finishing was, and like I get what it meant. It was like when your foot met the ball, just like in real life when you strike the ball well and you know it, or strike a good precision shot. Like I 100% agree that green time finishing could be skill based, but rats found a way to exploit it, so it had to be removed, especially since they had assisted. Now, if they took away assisted shooting altogether, then it could have made more sense to leave in time finishing, even if players were going to use their little tool where they just tap with their finger in the back, and it was just an easier way to learn time finishing while you were aiming. But with being allowed to use assisted, they had to get rid of it. Now, though, on top of precision, you can now choose high or low. So you can literally aim everywhere now, which is excellent. Just having, shoot under 40% and the ball will go low if you just... No. So I'm glad that was just a little temporary thing, and now low drivens are actually shots that have to be triggered, and they can be triggered with anything but a chip shot. Passing. Super important. Make sure you listen closely here.
Removing green time shots? So shooting is going to be a mixed bag in my opinion. So I'll give it a 5 out of 10. EA has also improved passing by using the shortest animations for low-powered passes and improving the pass receiver selection. They even mentioned a 1-frame pass animation that should speed up the succession of passes you could do when building up. Damn,
let's read
that's
that.
A 1-frame pass animation. EA has also improved passing.
With our focus on core mechanics, we dedicate significant effort to ensuring passes, particularly first-time passes, are as responsive as possible. This ties into the unresponsive gameplay. Whenever there was especially connection issues or something, for one, they took out the nonsense that would exacerbate that, and for two, they made it when you do have those games where the connection is not the best, it's still going to be playable. Whereas because of everything in FC25, the game is virtually, you know, because we still have to play it for, or at least if we want to play, you know, football right now, we don't play eFootball or UFL, we're stuck with this. EA Sports didn't come in and make these changes yet. They're making us wait for FC26, so it's not past tense yet, but passing angles are improved, faster animations, but I want you to hear like the explanation for this. Enabled first touch animations for passes when contextually appropriate, such as short distant passes, right? Now it's whenever you get the ball, literally for one, you can pass it all the way down to the last frame, which is what he was talking about. It makes a huge difference when you can choose all the way to the very last second. And the animations are better now. So depending on whatever angle you're at, as long as it's not just totally unrealistic, like I can't be facing forward and I don't have whatever tricks or whatever would give me a heel ball, you know, ability, and then I can't like pass a ball behind me, or I'm facing the left and I try to pass a ball to my right. It's going to be a goofy pass. Well, that should be the case, but the realistic passes are so much quicker, snappier, more responsive. It feels amazing. It has that addicting, if you've played eFootball, that's the one thing they did well. It has that addicting feeling where they got the weight of the pass perfect. So now when you're doing up back throughs, give and goes, all these different passing sequences to build up, moving the ball, trying to get around a park the bus team, or it feels so much better. Passes behind, increase animation coverage for 135 degree and 180 degree passes, also allowing backheel passes to play contextually in these scenarios. There you go. So if a player has the ability, like good enough passing, right, to play a ball behind them and they trigger a heel ball, now it has increased coverage where that will occur, right? It won't be some goofy animation that's unrealistic and that's awkward, that's lumbering, slows the game down. It's just all the nonsense that was in FC25, right? First time through passes are now significantly less accurate to avoid direct run related exploits, right? So if you guys don't know what they're talking about, remember the first time L1 triangles once you send a forward. I will tell you though that players were still trying it and there was a little bit more success than I would like. Hopefully they fix that. I know a lot of players mentioned it in the feedback. You can see it in the leaked beta footage just like I did, where those L1 first time through balls would sometimes be effective with the quicker passing, but nothing like FC25. It was the biggest exploit ever. Well, there was a lot that were trash, but it was one of the big ones where you would literally just keep playing the ball linear, just keep playing it forward. Once it got to your striker, you would just point backwards directly behind you, an L1 triangle or just triangle, and the ball would go perfectly boot into a straight line for your other attacker to diagonally run onto it. Biggest trash ever. So because they increased animations to make passes and not have those awkward passes or those passes where players would take a touch when you didn't want them to, well, when they did that, that's because there wasn't an animation. Like if you're saying, well, I triggered a one-time pass, why is he touching it? Because they didn't have an animation to cover that angle. Now with heel balls and different like outside of the foot and stuff, they'll have those angles covered, but remember, they're also going to be less accurate. Very realistic, and it increases the skill in your pass selection. And then quick passes, right? We were talking about that. Optimize short distance, low power passes to prefer faster, more responsive animations with minimal windup. Note that in competitive gameplay, first time pass accuracy is reduced, despite being more responsive. So in competitive, first time passes aren't going to be as accurate. It's going to be more responsive so you can play them quicker. There's more animation so they won't take a touch when you didn't want them to, the players in most cases. I won't say every, but most. But that doesn't mean you're going to sit there and just ping the ball and connect it every time. That's where, again, the skill comes in. That's how it should be. If you just try to spam pass all around and think you're going to look good and it's just going to help you move the ball up the field, no. You got to know who you're passing to, know why, know the movement you're making to keep building the ball up. If you don't know all that stuff, you better get to working on your skill because you're going to get cooked. you're going to be linear, trying to play linear. The improved AI movement's going to help me switch to the defender who's going to be in the right place now. And then I can use my skill to front you and intercept the ball every time or make a tackle every time because you're so predictable. FC25, you could be predictable and not be punished because the AI marking was so bad. You could play those linear spam through balls all day and not get punished for it. Not anymore. Not to mention, good luck without skill trying to keep up with fast passes, accurate passes, when you don't even know how to right stick and switch your defenders accurately yet. All you've been doing is using your CM or CDM to run around and chase players while your AI did all the work defensively. All you rats out there are going to be in a world of hurt on both sides of the ball, and defense is no longer going to be fun for you, I can tell you. I don't know how it was fun to sit there and let AI do stuff, but I promise you it won't be fun anymore. Physicality, we definitely want to hear about this. And that will be the last thing.
EA also wanted to make their big boy players more effective, so they improved their strength-based mechanics in FC26. Who's gonna carry the boats? Types of players.
Who's one more to carry?
Your Lewandowskis, your Hollands.
New animations have
right?
been included to
even the
help
bigger
shield
players
the ball
like
while dribbling or receiving a pass.
Goretzka,
Attackers with higher strength.
who else? Goretzka, Patrick Vieira, Hullet. I told this story, but as amazing as Hullet is, this only happened for a week, but the gameplay was so bad, I had to bench Hullet for a week because he was just bigger. And because he was bigger, he was more lumbering. And because of the bad gameplay, he was just stuck in the mud. He couldn't move. The opponent would just come get the ball away. Those players, now obviously Hullet's, even with his size, is amazing now. That was literally a week. But those bigger players, whether it's gameplay related or not, are going to be a lot more effective. And that's important because in real football, it's not like you have to go after the small, compact, quick little players. Bigger players are good too, just in their own way. And now that's going to translate more than ever into FC26.
Can also get a new playstyle called Enforcer, which makes the shielding even more effective. I'm always happy to see mechanics that make slow but strong players more utilized in the game, because pace has dominated since day one. Balancing the meta where all players can have...
Speaking of that, those who said, oh, they always try to make bigger players better, it never works. Well, it's exactly what was just said. They always try to do it by giving like lengthy, for instance, which is still in the game, but they simplified it down to lengthy, controlled, and explosive. No, mixed playstyles, if you will. But they try to do that. Like, oh, now that lengthy run with speed will make that player better. Well, guess what? Speed isn't necessarily the case for all the bigger players. Like a Haaland, his speed and quickness for a big guy comes in, but for a Lewandowski, he's all about positioning, great finishing, timing his runs, and that's same with Kane. So even though they're slower, they're going to be rewarded because of the better movement, the better runs. And now, on the dribbling side of the ball, right, they're going to be able to hold off defenders. Even though they can't break away because they don't have that breakaway speed, they'll use their positioning and their physicality if they're a big and strong player. Not every player is. There's bigger and weak players. Look at Rafael Leao. He's a bigger player, big body player. You'd think he'd be strong physically? No, absolutely not. And there's a lot of players like that. But if they're big and physical in real life, that physicality is going to translate now into the game on offense and defense.
The path to shine is essential to keep the game fresh and diverse, so it doesn't feel like you're matching up against the same teams over and over again. I'll give the shielding improvements an 8 out of 10 for attempting to make these slower cards that are stronger more viable in the meta. I have to say, for a company worth $40 billion, you guys impressed me.
Yeah. So, getting to that point, by no means does EA Sports deserve a pat on the back for what we're going over right now. I mean, look at the game that I'm playing right now. It's their latest version, and I won't even play PvP. A lot of players won't even touch the game, won't even do the carryover rewards because it's so bad, right? I'm literally playing this game simply because of the carryover rewards, because how bad their PvP is. It's ridiculous. And a little reminder, if you're watching this, if you want to do carryover rewards and you're doing the season pass to get to 84 plus times 5, there's a bunch of SP now, so make sure you do it. Weekly objectives, and then That's it, actually. The weekly objectives. They're slow rolling it, trying to get us to keep playing, I guess. But what I'm trying to get to is EA Sports did a great job. I'm not patting them on the back, though. I still despise them. They should have done this years ago. They're only doing this for greed. They want their money back. But that's what we have to deal with. All these companies that make all the different football games, they're all greedy. That's the bottom line. The difference is UFL isn't able to fix all the glitches and issues in their game because they're not good enough as a company. They're not skilled enough, if you will. Konami, for all the years they've been around, you can't say they're not a skill development company, but they leaned into the lower skilled players that make up a majority of their player base. Players don't like when I say that. A lot of players want to fancy themselves skilled footballers, and I'm not saying every player is not skilled, but the player base as a whole over in eFootball is just lower skilled players, and that's why Konami leaned into all the things that help these lower skilled players compete and have success, right? But EA Sports said, we know we have skilled players. We know they're not going to go for it if we don't fix this stuff. And they addressed every single thing that made FC25 trash. If you can think of anything that EA Sports didn't address that made FC25 trash, leave it in the comment section. I'd love to go over it with you because I'm just interested in what you think. But I've went over everything with a fine-tooth comb, if that's what the saying is, and they've hit everything, right? The biggest ones, inconsistent gameplay, was the first thing they addressed in their first ever pitch notes. Tacklebacks, the spam shots, such as the spam Trivela shot from 25, 30 yards out. The keepers that were pairing the ball in for easy tap-ins that made Rats just shoot the ball at the keeper every time, right? They made the, what else? I'm missing something here. We just went over the passing, sharper, quicker, right? The AI defensive coverage, so now Rats can't just spam through balls every time. You actually have to work to get your shot, and on defense, you can't just choose one player and chase around. You have to manually switch and take advantage of that better AI marking. Otherwise, those AI defenders will be glorified cones. They even made the stamina improvement where when you add the ball now, you'll have full stamina. When your opponent is controlling the defender, they'll have full stamina. If it's an AI defender, their stamina will drain just like in a real game. Same with attacking. Say you're using player lock and you switch off the player with the ball, right, to make a run. That player with the ball, they'll now have that lower stamina. If you're controlling that player, you'll have full stamina. It's a perfect way to reward controlling your players. And that was the theme all the way around, right? So, not a pat on the back, but they want their money, and they definitely showed how far they're willing to go to get all of us to spend money in the game again. And guess what? We all know they're greedy. We're all going to be fine with it if the trade-off is that we get a great football game that's skill-based and that doesn't cater to ratty players. Right now we have that. The last thing I want to say is many players are worried that this will be great. The ratty players, low-skill players will complain like always happens, and then boom, they'll nerf the game or change the game after the first patch, and it will never be the same. We'll go back to the trash gameplay again. The reason why we can bet big money, if you want, that won't happen is because EA Sports is smart. They didn't get that big and rich. We didn't spend this much money all these years because EA Sports doesn't know what they're doing. They know that once they release this game, they have to stay on top of it. Bottom line, if they don't, players, just like last year, will boom, be gone. Now there's no packs being bought, right? The players who typically wait and buy the game aren't really diehards, but still buy the game. It's still money. They don't buy it anymore because the game got such bad reviews. So we can be more confident than ever that not only will the initial release be great, but that EA Sports won't, just like they have historically, but they'll break the curse on putting out a patch that ruins the game. So once again, if you haven't, go subscribe to R_Green. He did a great job on this video. Clearly knows what he's talking about. I don't know about his other content, but obviously you can hear what he has to say and be confident he knows what he's talking about with FC. That's for sure. So thank you guys very much. I'm going to get back to this, just playing my squad battles game to finish these objectives. And I can't wait, man. The countdown begins. If you haven't been checking out my content, right now I've got videos lined up for every single position. They're not all out yet. If you're a member, you can see them now. But if not, over the next several days up to Sunday, I got every position covered for your starter squad list of players. It's important you note those players down. It's important that you have an idea who you want, so when you get the game, you can hit the ground running, and you don't miss out on good players because you weren't, aware they existed, and you don't make the mistakes many players make when they're building their starter squad teams. We go over all that, so check out all those videos, and if you want to support the channel, YouTube membership so you can get that content early, or Discord, $2.99 a month. All the help you can get, all the help you need. Any questions you have, 24/7, we're there for you. $2.99, it's literally worth its weight in value. Gamester FC, if you want to search Discord. If not, the link is in the YouTube bio. Thanks again, and I will see you guys soon. Peace out.